It was always you. Being born different in a town like mine was like being branded. No one prepared you for the hate, especially from people who you thought loved you. But that difference is what brought me and my best friend James together. It was the least this town could do. I still remember the day we met as if it were yesterday. A cloudy day in winter, dressed up in about 50 sweaters and double the amount of socks. Yes, I was that boy with the mom who fussed too much. But in her defense, I was 7 years old and eager to please my mother, so I complied. The new boy was standing in front, staring at the rest of the class as if they were snakes. He fumbled with his light blue jumper as he tried to form a coherent sentence. "I am James," he finally blurted, gray eyes darting around. They landed on me. I saw the fear fading from his eyes, but I looked away a moment later. I was puzzled by this stranger who looked at me differently. I did not like it one bit. Was there something wrong with me? Had I mistaken the pity in his eyes for warmth? He pitied me for sitting at a table of 4 alone. Maybe he knew that I was Ian, the school leper, the one who wore hand-me-down shoes 2 sizes too large and brought a packed lunch instead of buying it, whose mom drove a station wagon and whose dad had another family across town that everyone but his mother seemed to know about. Yes, I was the messed up kid. At least that was how my town branded me. "Thank you, James. You can take a seat anywhere you want. There is an extra seat next to Ian, Miss Honey," my teacher said. She meant no harm, bless her heart. She was one of the few decent folks in town. I sank down in my chair and wished that she had not brought the attention onto me. A few people giggled at my expense. "It looks like his table is full," Chloe King snickered. The whole class burst out laughing. Great, a new joke to go around for the rest of the week. I looked down and focused my attention on my math sums. Suddenly, a shadow fell over me. I looked up and I saw a head of curly dark hair and kind gray eyes. "Can I sit here?" he said in a clear voice. I opened my mouth to speak but no sound came out, so I tried to nod. He smiled and sat down across me. The lesson continued and I went back to my sums. As soon as the bell for playtime rang, I bolted out the door and made my way to the bathrooms. While everyone else had lunch and socialized with their friends, I had lunch in the bathroom with only me, myself and I for company. Suddenly I felt a light tap on my shoulder. It was him, holding a big lunchbox and looking at me with a hopeful expression. I raised an eyebrow, puzzled at what he could want. "Can you join me for lunch? My mom made my lunch and it is simply too much for me alone." He grinned, revealing a gap between his teeth. I thought about it for a moment. It was either this or soggy jammed sandwiches. Maybe he had peanut butter ones instead. Sure, why not?" I said. And that was the day we became best friends. 10 years later. "James, I will look ridiculous in this," I moaned, looking down at my colorful swim shorts. "Ian, how many times should I tell you? Those shorts are stylish according to Chloe. She says they were designed by Mary's favorite designer. Do you want to date her or not?" He sighed, waving his hands in the air, curly hair bouncing with each gesture. To be honest, Mary was a sweet girl, but she just was not my type. None of the girls in town were. What I really enjoyed was spending time with James. James got me. He knew me better than the back of his hand. He had taken the town outcast and showed him true friendship. Despite being the mayor's son, he was more humble than anyone else in town. I don't say this lightly, I would do anything for him. And right now that involved spending my night at a pool party organized by Chloe King, my eternal tormentor. The bullying had not stopped over the years. It was now masked by stink eyes when James was around and painful taunting when he wasn't there. Their respect for him was greater than their loathing for me, I guess. Anyways, here I was, going to a pool party where everyone hated me and trying to impress a girl I did not like. This was Chloe's fault. She had set me up with Mary. I could see through her act. She wanted to keep me away from James so that she could have him all to herself. She was such a mean girl cliché, it wasn't even funny. James ended up convincing me to wear those dreadful shorts. Who could resist his puppy dog eyes? Certainly not me. We pulled up to the King's driveway when the party was already in full swing. Teenagers in various states of dressing ranging from swimsuits to fashionable clothes littered the grounds. There were kegs set up all over the place along with a DJ spinning some decks. It was basically the party of the year. We made our way through the sea of people and into the house. We found Chloe, Mary and some of their friends sitting around a table, laughing and drinking. Chloe stood up with a smile on her face when she caught sight of us. "There you are, my love," she said, pulling James in for a kiss. I felt a sharp pang go through my heart, so I looked away. They sat back down, with Chloe sitting on his lap. I lingered, sipping a beer and watching other people interact. "Hi Ian," a small voice said. It was Mary, looking at me with baby blue eyes. I grinned. "Hey there, nearly did not see you there." I teased. She rolled her eyes and flipped her long blonde hair over her shoulder. See, she was a nice girl. We got along really well and I could see the sense in dating her. I just could not. Something was preventing me. Well, someone. Guys, do you want to go swimming? Mary turned to say to the rest of the group. Everyone nodded in agreement and we were off. I dreaded it. Those shorts were embarrassing. Still, I went along with it. Probably because I could not stand there awkwardly trying to fit in the conversation any longer. Everyone removed their clothes and we were all left in our swimsuits. Mary was very pleased with me, much to my chagrin. Gosh, I felt bad for leading her on. My eyes wandered to James, who was taking off his shirt. I sucked in my breath. He was hot, no lies. I don't think I could ever get tired of seeing those abs. I am sure I sound like a simp, but he had a body sculpted by Michelangelo himself. The light hit his olive skin, making it glisten like it was gold. He caught my eye, and a look passed through us. I have no idea what it was, but it sent jolts through my body. I wanted to slap myself for getting caught staring at his perfect body. However, that would look odd if I were to do that, and that would make everything even more awkward. Therefore, I settled for jumping into the freezing pool instead. The ice-cold water hit me and I was stunned for a moment. My body adjusted within a few moments though. I swam for a bit, talking to whoever came up to me for a while. But never him. I could not look at him. Maybe it was something in the air, but it was getting harder to be around him lately. Half of the time I wanted to blurt out how I felt about him and kiss him to within an inch of his life. But I could not do that. We all know how it ends when a gay guy falls for a straight guy. So I stewed in this madness, this love that threatened to overthrow me. Every touch, every gaze was electric. You can fall in love with someone and that is fine. But what isn't fine is having your soul ignited by them. Mary came up to me smiling with eyes gleaming. "Hey there, stranger," she said in a sing-song voice. I smiled slightly and greeted her back. "I must say, you look amazing tonight," she smiled. "Thank you," I said. Now, the next scene totally caught time off guard, so I think I can be forgiven for my reaction. She moved closer to me and her eyes drifted down to my lips. My heart stopped. Surely she couldn't. What are you doing?" I tried confrontation in a bid to save myself. "What I have wanted to do for a long time." She grinned. Then she kissed me. Now, she was not a bad kisser from what I could tell. But have you ever kissed someone and felt nothing? I pulled away instantly. "Why did you do that?" I asked. "I thought that you liked me," she said softly, her eyes becoming glassy. My heart broke at what my actions had led to. She did not deserve to be caught up in my mess. "I am sorry for misleading you. I love someone else." I looked down. "James," she said, then turned around and left. I was shocked. How did she know? I would ponder over that later, but now I had something else to deal with. Namely, a curly-haired guy staring daggers at me. He turned away from me and got out of the pool. I followed after him, calling his name. He walked into the house and up the stairs. He finally stopped when he reached an open bedroom. We both entered and I shut the door. He turned to look at me and I was floored. I feared I was about to lose him. "Is it true?" he asked softly. "What?" I said, stalling for time. "That you love me," he said, advancing closer. I nodded. "Yes, I love you," I said, looking down. Suddenly a hand lifted my chin and he kissed me. So softly, but the impact on my heart was sevenfold. I kissed him with everything I had. The tension, fire and lust was enough to burn the ocean, to be honest. But then suddenly there was a knock on the door. We both jumped away from each other, staring at each other with panicked looks in our eyes. "James," Chloe's voice called. Oh no, this was bad. We were so dead. James ruffled his hair and went to open the door. He slipped out, closing it behind me. Soon I heard their voices drifting away. Once they were gone, I was left to process everything that had happened. I had been waiting for so long for the moment I would kiss him, be with him, touch him, and it had finally come. The euphoria I felt was better than a drug. Along with that feeling came dread, cold and piercing. This would surely destroy both of us. What had I done? I had basically branded us for those vultures to hunt. They would not stop until they tore us apart. If they found out that we were gay, they would not leave us in peace. What had I done? "We need to talk," I texted him. "Okay. Can you sleep over at my house?" he instantly replied. Hours later. "When did you know?" he asked. "I cannot pinpoint the exact moment when I fell in love with you. I just know that you captured me, body, mind, and soul. It has always been you. I thought you were in love with Chloe. I was being forced to be with her by my family. They want me to get married to her as soon as we finish school, all so that our families can unite. It is all because of my family's greed." he said bitterly. I caressed his hair, letting the bombshell he had just dropped sink in. This place was so much darker than I thought. I am so sorry. I wish it didn't have to be like that. I did not confess to you about how I felt because I thought you were happy with her. I also did not want to ruin your life, I muttered sadly. Suddenly someone barged through the door. We had barely a moment to detangle before Chloe was screaming and shouting at us. I cannot believe you would do this to me. Both of you are a disgrace to this town. How can you lie here in each other's arms? When everyone finds out, you are going to be ruined, she screeched. Oh no, well, things had just taken a turn for the worst. Chloe, calm down. We can talk about this, I said softly, slowly approaching her. No, don't you dare. Do you have any idea how much I am going to be humiliated when everyone finds out? She said, starting to sob. Chloe, you need to listen to me. You and I were not meant to be. We were forced into this by our parents. We cannot let anyone dictate who we can and cannot be with. Love is love. I feel free for the first time in my life because the man I love is with me. I am done lying. I am done hiding. If anyone is against us, then they will have to go through me before they can hurt my Ian, James said. Chloe stopped crying and looked down in shock. She took some time and then said with remorse, "Oh no, what have I been doing? I have been a terrible person because I was brought up to think that I was better than everyone else. All I wanted to do was to be good enough for my parents even though they mistreated me. I have never known love, but I think that the both of you have it. I am sorry, Ian, for being mean to you for all those years. I was jealous, I guess. Despite all the money my family has, you are richer than me because your mother loves you. I will not tell anyone about this, and I am sure Mary will not as well. It is your truth to tell, not mine." And then she hugged the both of us and left. Say it again, I said, turning to look at Ian. What must I say? He smirked, looking into my eyes. You know what? I took a step closer, then took his hands in mine. I felt like I truly belonged. Love does that to you. I love you, he smiled. I love you too, I said, closing the gap and cupping his face. I slowly leaned in and kissed him. I could never get enough of him. He fed me while keeping me hungry for more. I would walk through fire for him and I would not even feel myself burn. We softly kissed for a while, enjoying the moment. You are so beautiful, he muttered in between kisses. I had never felt so loved before. He was just so perfect for me. You are mine, James growled in my ear. Yes, I will be yours forever, I promised. We would figure out what to do going forward, but for now this moment was ours and no one could take it away. We decided to keep our relationship a secret for the remainder of high school. After school, we moved after I got a scholarship and his parents paid for his college tuition. We eventually got the courage to tell our parents about our relationship. My mother was very supportive and she told me that she always knew that James and I had a special bond. His mother was supportive as well. His father was a bit difficult in the beginning, but he eventually came around. Love is the most powerful force in the world. One should not have to live their life in fear because of who they love. Love does not hurt anyone and it always prevails. If you have love in your heart, do not hesitate to let it be known before it is too late. The end. Thanks for watching. Consider subscribing to become a part of our Rainbow Force and stay wholesome.